My name is Bill Lewkowict. I was born in 1935 in Vilna, Lithuania. In 1939, before the war, we went to visit my father's family in Tomaszów Lubelski in Poland. While we were there, the Germans invaded Poland, and we couldn't get back to Vilna. I was only 3 years old, so my memory is not so vivid. But I do remember being sent to the ghetto, and I remember feeling hatred. I know now this was anti-Semitism. The guards there were Ukrainians and Lithuanians. They used to call us dirty Jews or dirty pigs, useless parasites. Even as children, we had to bob our heads when the guards walked by. All the Jews walked with their heads down. If you did not, you got into trouble. Our parents taught us this. My father was taken away in 1940, and I never saw him again. My mother and I were separated at the end of 1941, when she was selected for work in a labor camp. When they separated me from my mother, they literally tore me out of her hands and threw me onto the ground. My aunt Mère picked me up and took me home. She treated me like her own son. Conditions were terrible in the ghetto. Luckily, my aunt got a cleaning job in the guards' barracks. She would pick up leftovers from the garbage cans, bring them home, wash them so we could eat. My aunt soon realized that if she let us kids play in the street, we wouldn't last long. On the third floor where we lived, there was a double wall, and my aunt put us children behind that wall. When there was a surge, they would stuff rags in our mouths so we wouldn't talk, and they would tie up our hands so we wouldn't fight. We had to be invisible in order to survive. Through little openings in the wall, we could see dead bodies lying on the street and in the courtyard. All day we just sat there and stared out those holes. We couldn't sing, we couldn't talk. We stayed behind the wall until they liquidated the ghetto in the fall of 1942. Miraculously, there was an old Polish soldier that my aunt used to pass each day on her way to work. He had somewhat sympathy for the Jews and for my aunt, and warned her about the impending liquidation. We bribed him, and he let us flee from the ghetto. For 2 years, my aunt Mère, my cousin Avramele, and I hid in the forest and in the barn of a local farmer. It was so hard to live in the forest. I remember my aunt found some rags, and she wrapped my feet with them. I was standing in a clearing with the rags on my feet. I was cold, I was hungry, and I was angry. And I yelled out for my mother, "How could you leave me by myself? Why didn't you love me? Why did you abandon me?" I knew very well even then that my mother didn't abandon me, but in a child's mind, it's different. My aunt hugged me and she said, "I love you and I will never, never abandon you."